Welcome back to Man Across New Horizons. I'm Deodani. I shall see what's going on the lovely island of Fawnhollow today. You'll be happy to know I finished the thumbnail art for the next series, the next mystery series, not the Stephen Sausage Roll one. I haven't even started that one yet, I'm going to be honest. But that's okay, I don't need to finish it until July 5th, although ideally, again, I want to get things done by July 1st. I don't know, I said that so weirdly, July 1st. Yeah, so what should we chat about today? I don't really know. The weather's normal, so you know it's nothing to talk about there. My hay fever is fine, I suppose. I mean, my hay fever's not normally that bad. It was pretty bad yesterday, surprisingly, but anyway, I feel fine now. So hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 3:44 PM on Friday, June 24th, 2022. Kicks is here, so get your new kicks on Route 66. Something rhyming. I play a sick lick on the guitar, so watch out for my trick. Like it's Halloween. I don't know. Take your pick. Literally made no sense. I was just sort of here spitting out rhymes because that's who I am. Is it a crime? No, okay, I'm going to stop by now. No more rhyming. I'm not really sure what to talk about, to be particularly honest. I don't really have anything in mind. I'm just trying to think if there's anything happened in the gamosphere lately, which no one ever refers to it like that. But, you know, if I start referring it to like that, maybe someone else will as well. I'm just sort of here to vibe. I suppose you probably already know what we're talking about because you can see the title and you can see the future. I don't know, so you know I'm sort of trying to fumble it out in real time until I can actually piece together exactly what is something interesting to talk about. I'm not really sure. I guess that TF2 thing was kind of interesting where the hacks and cheaters are basically trying to stomp out. I'm sure there's something. Hold on. Let's have a little bit look at r/games. I'm on r/League of Legends right now, which I don't even know. I don't really pay attention much to. I kind of only look at the skins. Star Guardian skins coming out, and I like that. You know, magical girls, magical transformations, Sailor Moon inspired, Magica, Pretty Cure. All those got good stuff. Although to be fair, I've seen Sailor Moon. I haven't seen all of it. I don't think, but I've seen a lot of it when I was younger. I don't really remember most of it. I'm going to be honest. I think we have. I should have checked if we have this or not, but we'll order it anyway because we're rolling in the Nook Mile tickets. I'm like 90% sure we have a springy ride on both, so that we definitely have. This I don't think we have, so we might as well order. Because now we're getting into a stage of things which were definitely here in 2.0, but I didn't order all of them. I ordered some things for the park I made. If you didn't know, like you'd have to go back like maybe a year and a half now or something. I had like a little children's playground or something where Nook's cranny once stood, but when I got rid of it to make room for Nook's, I guess we talk about magicals. I'm pretty sure we got this one. I don't think we have this one. Magical girls and that sort of thing. Yeah, when I was a lot younger, I used to watch Sailor Moon a little bit, you know, with my sister, that sort of thing. I'll be honest, I don't really understand what was going on. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I was pretty young at the time. My sister, I think, does like Sailor Moon quite a lot. But no, my magical girl anime of choice is definitely Madoka Magica. Sorry, Puella Madoka Magica. I can't remember its first thing. It's actually one of the first animes I watched. I don't think it is the first. I think it's one of the first 5 I've actually watched, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I guess it's difficult to talk about without spoiling it, so hopefully by now you've watched like this 15-year-old anime and you don't really mind being spoiled on it. Maybe there'll be spoilers of other magical girl animes if I can think of it, but oh, you also might not know what the heck I'm talking about. Magical girl anime is basically well, magical girls I suppose are a whole subgenre of basically I don't really know how to describe it, but it's mainly a sort of like a trope style of genre which appears in anime fiction, well obviously fiction, where it basically is usually around like high school age students, that sort of thing, transforming into basically guardians of like protectors of the earth with magical powers. And often it's called magical girls because normally it started, at least originated being like high school girls like transforming using like very magical powers, and it's meant to be very sort of like light and fluffy and fairy like and magical and all that sort of. It's very whimsical I suppose in that sort of sense, rather than being, you know, I suppose it would be like sort of counted to like superhero anime. Who's normally Kicks? Superhero anime or that sort of thing. You know, like superpowers like was shown in, you know, like My Hero Academia. But it's like this is sort of like the more femme version. Whether you agree with that or not is, you know, fair enough. I don't think it's the best description, but it's normally defined by basically, you know, people gaining magical powers and undergoing some sort of transformations, and it's often quite bright and cheery in a certain sense. Although, of course, nowadays if you're much more familiar with modern day magical girl stuff, is you know that the subversion is now a lot more sort of like sinister, I suppose, lurking underneath. I don't know if that's particularly started with Madoka in first place, but definitely like of older generations of anime. I'm not an expert on this, by the way, by any means, so I'm sort of just talking randomly here. Certainly the older generations of anime, you know, the Sailor Moons are pretty cute, are very sort of like bright and happy in a certain sense. Well, Sailor Moon isn't always bright and happy. I think Pretty Cure is, and I've never seen Pretty Cure, so I don't actually know. But Sailor Moon is generally kind of happy, but you know, it's not to it was like free of troubles or anything. Like very dark sides, I suppose, to it as well, but it doesn't go like super dark as opposed to Madoka, which, spoilers, I suppose, Madoka is a sort of subversion of a genre at the time, especially. A lot of the people at the time, as I understand it, certainly like saw magical girl anime as being, you know, quite childish, being like overly dreamlike, overly fantastical, overly hopeful, like, you know, it's sort of like, yeah, childish, people would say. But then, you know, Madoka came along, and then it starts off in first 2 episodes. It just kind of seems like a normal sort of magical girl anime, maybe with a bit more like focus on like emotional like relationships and that sort of thing. Maybe you don't really know. And when you get to like episode 3, and then, you know, spoilers, it gets a lot more grimdark very quickly, and then, you know, as you watch it, you know, it sinks further and further down that sort of grimdark genre, that grimdark route, and it gets increasingly dark and like full of despair, and you know, all that sort of like all culminates towards the final episode where you're just like, whoa. And it really sticks in my mind because it is, as I say, my favourite anime of all time. It's certainly it's probably the first anime I watched, or maybe like the first TV show I've ever watched, where I watched it and I was like, I have to watch the next episode. You know, it's not often, like, I'm someone with a pretty good sort of sense of self-restraint. Like, you know, I watch a series and then I'm just like, oh, I could watch the next one now, or, you know, I could go to sleep at a reasonable hour. And I'm like, okay, let's go to sleep at a reasonable hour. The only times I don't, I suppose, if I'm watching stuff with friends, in which case I get sort of egged on. You know, I'm like, you know, I guess I don't have good self-restraint when it comes to socialising, I suppose, or hanging out with my friends. But then doing stuff for my own recreational benefit, I'm just like, I'll just pick this up another time. You know, slow and steady wins a race, as they say, and there's no need to overindulge yourself too early and ruin a good experience. But, you know, that's just, you know, I talked about binge watching things before. You can search up my Animal Crossing video and that sort of thing. But Madoka, I think, genuinely was the first series I watched where I was just like, I watched like episode 3 or something, you know, I watched that, because that's what we always say, is like, watch up to episode 3. So I was like, first 2 episodes, I was like, oh, this is nice, you know, this is cute, or whatever. And, you know, I watched episode 3 and I was like, what? I have to know what happens. And then, you know, I watched the rest of it. I don't think I completely binged that. I think I did do it over 2 or 3 days, which, you know, it is kind of binge watching them from my perspective. And it was just like, this is crazy, like, wow. Like, it's I suppose really the meat and potatoes of it is it really taps into sort of like melancholic emotions and like dramatics and sad stories, I suppose, especially towards around episode like 8 or something. I think there's only 12 episodes in it, so really it's quite a short series if you want to go and watch it yourself. I know there's movies as well. I've not watched the movies, actually. You know, this might surprise you. I literally have no idea what happens in the movies. I have no idea what they're about, and I don't know if I'll ever watch them. I probably will at some point, but yeah, again, I first watched it like 10 years ago now, so I probably should have watched them by now, if anything. So I don't really know what happens in movies, but yeah, I just love the concept of it. And I suppose, you know, I do kind of like the idea of magical girls in first place, like the sort of the idea of these like superpowers or whatever being, you know, forces for good and, you know, versus evil, very sort of tropey in that sense. Sorry, I'm drinking some water, but it's even more delicious when it's, I suppose, it's sort of like subverted from a genre which, subverted in a way which you don't really usually expect. In with a strong sense of melancholy and, you know, quite dark themes, because I do like horror. I do like, you know, horror thematics and that sort of thing. But, you know, I've said my piece about like every single one of my opinions ever about horror movies. Is, you know, like, obviously, like with slasher fix, I find, you know, quite a bore. You know, comedic horror doesn't really do it for me. I just like that sort of like lingering sense of dread or like heartbreak, etc., things like that. Which, you know, I feel like they're very visceral emotions, which is why I quite like them more than, you know, comedic ones, which it's not like I don't like to laugh or anything, but, you know, putting it in a horror thematics just most of the time makes me go meh. Apart from Parasite, I do like the way Parasite did it, but you know, I've said a lot about Parasite. Parasite's awesome. Yeah, what was I going to say for this? I don't remember. Anyway, magical girl stuff is pretty cool, and nowadays there's quite a lot of magical girl animes. and they're not always magical girls, of course, anymore. You know, they're sort of branched out, I believe, from that sort of perspective. But it's a sort of genre on its own. And there's actually quite a few of them, which I hear are pretty good. But there's that one, I can't remember what it's called, but there's another really recent one, I say within like the last 4 years or so, I think, where it's basically is it called like Magical Girl Index? It's something like that. It's something where like the magical girls are now like fighting each other, and it's also meant to have that sort of like grim, dark sort of nature that Madoka has, I think, in his later episodes or whatever. But you know, obviously it's not as big a subversion because people kind of expect it now. Is that what it's called? It's like Certain Magical Girl Index, but I think I'm getting it confused with the Railgun series. A Certain Magical Index? Is that it? No, this is a Railgun series. What's that? Magical Girl Anime. Magical Girl TV tropes, maybe you can find it. No, I want the... Oh, it's a really modern one. It's a very dark one at the same time. It's like people very viscerally die. There's pictures of Wonder Egg Priority here, which is interesting. I didn't realise Wonder Egg Priority was a Magical Girl anime. I've heard a lot of good things about Wonder Egg. Well, you know, okay, no, Wonder Egg Priority is the sort of thing where it's like, oh, you know, the first whatever many episodes I hear amazing, and then they completely ruin it in like the last episode or something. I don't remember exactly. Anyway, Magical Girl known as Mahou Shoujo is magical girls are empowered by various means and fantastic powers that both resist and complicate their lives, but manage to persevere despite this. No matter how hard this may be to believe, in Western worlds, high crossover popularity in different demographics. Some minor but appropriate design modifications. Okay, sure. History of a genre. Another Oh, it goes even older than this. Okay, hold on. Here we go. TV tropes. Bring it over here. We're going to learn about magical girls today. Magical sitcom Bewitched. The Disney thing. Oh no, this is even older. This is the older 1960s sitcom or something in America, which I've never seen, by the way. Magical Girl, Sally Bewitch. No. Primary Bewitch as a primary inspiration for work. So okay, you know, apparently Magical Girl origins has roots in an American sitcom. Magico Meg-chan was the first show marketed towards boys and girls. I've never even heard of this, but it's very old school anime. You just look up the art style and be like, that's old. As a tomboyish heroine, a feature to rival a main character. Oh, feature a rival to a main character. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Features fan service. Right, okay. A really evil character. Prior to this, there's a perception that young girls couldn't handle such things. Well, you know, thanks, Majoko Meg-chan. We're starting it off. Anyway, we're going to scroll down until stuff I actually recognise. Magical Girl Warrior? What? There we go. Sailor Moon was a huge hit. Other shows are made in the same style. By what I need to look at my Nigma missions, otherwise I'm sort of running around like a headless chicken. Fossils, Brewster, sell things, take a picture. Take my picture, pretty cute. Oh, Cardcaptor Sakura, I forgot about that. Neoclassical, what? There's 3 broad categories of magical girl subgenres. I didn't realise this. Okay, neoclassical, codified by Cardcaptor Sakura, essentially old school... I need to cut, hold on. Old school magical girl coming of age stories. Updated with sensibilities of modern age and roles of girls and women in it. Okay. That seems like a very generic sort of description. It's a coming of age story. But in a modern society? What? Action hero? By Pretty Cure. Oh, the demographics are different. Okay, so the first one's aimed towards young girls. The second one's aimed towards teenagers and adult males. Heavy emphasis on fan service, alright. From a lot of fighting scenes. And deconstructive, codified by Puella Magi Madoka. Yeah. That's what I'm on about. Debunking the very concept of a world where young girls are forced to confront an evil. With plenty of dark secrets and delving deep into the psychology of its cast. Skews towards teens and adult males like the action hero, but there are a few works that aim towards teens and young girls as well. Surreal horror, Madoka itself was considered the equivalent of Neo Genesis Evangelion and Berserk for the genre. Oh! My Hime, Princess Tutu, Daybreak Illusion, Yuki Uno's a hero. No, these aren't the ones. What is the one I'm thinking of? Corsairs features similar themes but diverge. A girl who uses magic is not necessarily a magical girl in the sense of a trope of a genre. Fair enough. Oh, Index of Magical World works. These Magical Girl Genre Index. Oh, there's far too many. I'm not going to find like this. Index of How to Write a Magical Girl Series. What is this one called? Not Wonder Egg Priority. It's like maybe for such like dark magical girl. I don't know. It's like a magical girl battle royale or something. Is this it? Rise of a Dark Magical Girls. No, Magical Girl Raising Project, that's it. I knew it was something project. This is one I've heard a lot about. Magical Girl. I heard it's horrific, and very dark. Raising Project. I don't really know much about it, but apparently it's very interesting. It seems well received, so, you know, maybe I'll give it a watch. And, you know, I say that the same as I say with everything I say I'm going to give a watch is I'll never watch it, probably. But ain't that interesting, you know, Magical Girls. I mean, I suppose that's kind of like why I like Magic in the first place is, you know, one, I like subversions, but two, you know, it is kind of a weird thing to think about, you know. A lot of these, like, teen fiction sort of things, obviously, the central characters are teenagers because, you know, it's a teenage fantasy in the first place. It's meant to be empowering towards teenagers. But, you know, if you ever really stop to think about it, these are, like, horrifying situations which teenagers are kind of put into in the first place, isn't it? You know, if you really stop and think about it, like, Hunger Games, like, you might watch the movies and not think too much about it because, you know, like, Jennifer Lawrence and I forgot what the guy's actor's name is, are, like, 20-something when they play it. But, you know, in the books, isn't it, like, Katniss is, like, 15 or something? I can't remember. And, you know, I think about that, like, 10 years ago, like, me being put into, like, a Hunger Games, like, do or die battle royale. That sounds horrifying. Like, I mean, I suppose it's just sort of, like, a deficit which you have to have if you make any sort of movies. That a lot of the times you can't really have teenagers sort of portraying a lot of teenage roles. Or, well, that's not necessarily true. You know, I don't agree with that sentiment necessarily, but a lot of the time adults tend to be cast for it. Mainly because adults just have more, you know, acting experience, I suppose, in the first place. And I also don't know, actually, how Jennifer Lawrence was the first time when she recorded it, but still. It's like all these teen fiction things, they take place at a much younger age, and, you know, you really think about it. You don't really think about it much when you're a teenager, because you're like, oh, I'm the oldest I'll ever be. I am that age right now, isn't it? That's sort of just how it is. But, you know, looking back on it is wild, because there was this series I read, like, the Shapeshifter series as well, which, you know, it took place incredibly young, and I was like, whoa. You know, at the time I was like, heck yeah, this is awesome. But, you know, after, you know, sort of reading it, I'm just like, all right, this is crazy. Like, well, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called, I think it's called a Shapeshifter, I think. Is it a Shapeshifter? The Shapeshifter series? I don't remember. It's somewhat like that. And it's just like, whoa, okay, you know, now I think about it. I think zombie, isn't like Lena and it's just like 13 or something? Hold on. I think the main character's like 15 or something in it. And anyway, they're basically kind of like, they're meant to be like the next, like, up-and-coming force of to be reckoned with, like, these young people, like, with, you know, they're sort of like superheroes, essentially, but, you know, that's a lot of responsibility to obviously put on these young kids or whatever, or teens, sorry, hold on. I found a Wikipedia, very good, the Shapeshifter, Ali Fox. Ali what? Ali Sparks, that's right. Finding a Fox. How old is Dax Jones? Does it not say? Anyway, they're putting... Oh, I actually completely forgot, like, this whole plot. Anyway, they're, like, in high school or something. Right? What is going on with this? Anyway, hold on. I'll read that later, and, you know, I'll reminisce on the time where I read that book when I was younger. But still, America's a very, of course, interesting subversion of that in the first place, where, you know, putting these... it's essentially sort of just, like, sending them to war, isn't it? You know, except for instead of war between, like, people, it's a war on a sort of like a cosmic or an eldritch level. It's kind of horrifying for these teenagers to even be put through. You know, that's unsurprisingly they should be, like, under the influence of not under the influence of a lot of trauma or anything, but, you know, be quite traumatized by the entire situation in the first place. And I suppose Madoka is meant to be sort of like a parody or comment on that, being, you know, seeing as that kind of, like, happens. No, my pockets are full. What can I afford to drop? Okay, we can plant a lily of a valley. It's kind of like, you know, the entire point of it in the first place, which is why, you know, it's such a grim subversion of, I suppose, the genre in the first place, Madoka. Because, you know, it's something which is also not commented on, the fact is that people can, you know, legitimately die in these cosmic wars, right? But I say this as if I have, like, huge amount of knowledge on, like, Sailor Moon and the other things. When I haven't watched them, you know, maybe probably people do die in those animes, but, you know, maybe it's, like, very rare, that sort of thing. But what happens in Madoka is, you know, it's, like, kind of commented about, they sort of die, like, all the time. It's like, you know, but the people, Cube in this instant, who is making these contracts and turning these high school girls into magical girls in the first place, is not doing it with their best interest in mind, and doing it for very selfish reasons. And, you know, it's a very engaging sort of, like, idea in the first place, even if you, I think, haven't watched the first sort of like Magical Girl series to really get sort of the baseline to be subverted from in the first place, right? It's engaging enough on it in its own regard, where you're just like, wow, this is such a messed up situation, and it all like ties together very nicely. And Madoka does pretty well with it in the first place. I think with making it quite a cohesive story. I think, you know, like who of these enemies are battling. Oh, spoiler, mega spoilers. It turns out it's corrupted like previous Magical Girls, and you know, it's like, why is this happening? How is Q-based ending this happening? It's like he's it's something like it's like the energy they provide, you know, eventually they'll all get corrupted anyway, but it doesn't really matter to him. He'll just hop to another world and make more Magical Girls or something like that. It's crazy dark, I suppose. Sorry, let me sip some more water. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? How did I even start talking? Oh, you know what I was talking about. It's because I believe the League of Legends thing was like this, and I have just realised I forgot to actually dig up the flower again, but whatever. It's because of League of Legends, and they have a skin line in the game called Star Guardians, which is basically their sort of magical girl thing, you know. And the next series is coming out, and it's obviously this series makes them a huge amount of money, so they're just like, all right, might as well, you know, milk. Oh no, we did get the flower. Okay, good job, me. Might as well, you know, take advantage of that and actually, you know, get a lot of money from it by, you know, making a lot of skins. So this next batch is coming out. It's going to be the 4th batch since its release, and I currently own all the Star Guardian skins because, you know, that, as I say, I absolutely love Magica. It's such a fantastic series, you know, so much so that I've only watched it once, but you know, there's not many things I watch multiple times. I would certainly watch it again at some point, but well, actually I should just watch a movie, isn't it? I should just really just watch movies at some point. But yeah, the next series is coming out, and you know, it's raising I mean, I'm not going to say it's raising like controversy or so much, because you know, you shouldn't get your news sources from Reddit, to be honest. To be perfectly honest, but you know, some people on Reddit are kind of outraged, especially about one of the skins, Star Guardian Echo, and people, you know, but some people certainly overreact, as you know, some people do on Reddit. Because you've got to bear in mind, it's a sort of collective hive mind of like hundreds of thousands of people or whatever. You know, so certainly some people are going to have rather extreme opinions on that sort of thing. And just due to the nature of the upvote downvote system on Reddit, and opinions tend to sort of snowball upwards or downwards quite rapidly. And I don't mean the Marbula 1 character. I'm just trying to figure out how to get to this fossil. It might not even be a fossil. You might think, one of my perspective on Star Guardian skins, I think most of them are fine. Like, some are good, some are bad, as, you know, kind of sort of what happens when you make multiple things. One of them has to be the best and one has to be worse, and I do tend to agree Star Guardian Echo does look the worst, I think. But I don't think it's that bad. I think most of the badness is, you know, from my perspective, is the fact that I don't think that inherently the fact is two coloured is a bad thing, because it's quite a common thing in Magical Girl shows that everyone's got like a signature image colour, and then everyone else that's the only colour really associated with them. They often have like white, and then we'll have like another colour, like, you know, Sailor Moon's is blue, I assume, because that's like what her uniform is. But now I think about it, it's kind of pink, so maybe it's not. Whatever, it's like quite a tropey thing. Like maybe Madoka's a better example, where, you know, Madoka's is pink. And, you know, like, who are the other characters, like, Saki, is that her name? I forgot, is blue. Etc, etc. But, you know, obviously, they've already released, like, 15 different characters of that sort of thing. There's only so many colours you can really do, so really what they're trying to branch out into is to having, like, some more interesting colour combinations in the first place. But I will say probably they should have the main colour sort of locked down. And, you know, 15 is not that many. I suppose you can have enough, like, different shades. Like, obviously, let's think, you can have red, you can have orangey red, you can have orange, like an orangey yellow. You can have just a pure yellow. You can have like a lime green, chartreuse sort of colour. You can have like a normal sort of mid green. You can have like a teal colour. You can have a light blue, dark blue. Like, if in doubt, you can always do light and dark colours. You could do a light purple, a dark purple, I'd say. So what's that? That's like 11 or something. You can do a pink on the purple side and a pink on the red side. That's like 13 already. And then you got like you can have like a greyish colour. Maybe with like some like light tinges of like blue in there or something. So like something close to white, something close to black. You know, that's already like 14, but of course, they probably didn't have that exact sort of foresight or planning when they were making the Star Guardian skins in the first place. They probably weren't like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to plan out 15 skin lines in advance. So just to make sure that we don't overlap any colours. So I understand the need for having sort of like these mix and matched palettes. Now, the problem I think mainly with Echo's skin is kind of the hair doesn't look very good. So I say, I appreciate though. Well, I shouldn't say I appreciate it because it's not as relevant to me, but I think it's cool, of course, of doing more different black hairstyles for the actual black characters rather than, you know, whatever. So he's actually, basically he's got sort of like locks. He's got very thick locks, which I'm not sure if that's usually how locks are. I'm not an expert in black hair, I'll be honest. So I'll let other people comment on that, but to me personally, I'm just like, the hair doesn't look great. it doesn't look quite right, is probably what I'd say. But I don't really have a problem with the orange and blue sort of colour things that are going on. I do find it strange that he's got a red top on, because I feel like red, orange and blue is like, it's a very bold and bright sort of colour palette in the first place, which is a bit too much. I think perhaps it would be a little bit better if perhaps his all his particle effects were like inverted from blue to the orange, like everything which is currently blue in his particles was orange, and everything which was orange is blue. But maybe that looked bad, I don't know. But I think only like conceptually, from design wise, it kind of looks more like a Battle Shonen anime skin rather than necessarily a Star Guardian one. I think it might mildly miss them up, but I think the others look pretty good. Like Kaiser's one looks really good. I think Sona's looks really good. Might be one of the best ones, despite the fact Sona's model is utterly hideous. What's the other ones? Oh, it's the new champion now. Or something like Neva or something. That's just fine, I'd say. I think she's got a very strange colour scheme of like that pink and a very weird colour of green to go with it. But, you know, at least it's kind of different. I'd say the Prestige skin looks not that Star Guardian-like, but it looks okay, I'd say. And there's one more. I don't remember what the other one is, isn't there? Kaiser, Sona, Echo. Oh, there's a Fiddlesticks one. Fiddlesticks one is great, but the Fiddlesticks one is a completely different direction, which is honestly probably the way to go, I suppose, when you're sort of like slowly running out of character skin concepts to make more enemies and more villains. And Fiddlesticks is kind of like the witches in Madoka, I'd say, and it's fantastic. I'm here for it. I'm living for it. But yeah, it's basically fine, I would say, you know. Am I going to buy them? I don't know. I don't really play much League of Legends anymore. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I mean, I feel like at this point I've got to keep up that tradition of, you know, buying all the Magical Girl stuff, but, ow, sorry, I just kicked my desk here. But, you know, it's really not that important. And, yeah, I'll decide to see if I like them at the end. If I don't, then, you know, I won't. It's just, you know, that's just kind of how a cookie crumbles, isn't it? You either do it or you don't. Anyway, I'm going to round up this episode here, I think. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me, Dear Darling, Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So, until next time, bye-bye for now.